Observing rituals of Shabbat is zachor, to remember. This means to do the prayers of Shabbat. So to have rituals, to do the prayers, to light the candles, and to bless and to sing and to do all the rituals of Shabbat.
So it's a little difficult for me to answer that because I'm a rabbi and a mom, right, and a wife. And so some of the rituals I wish I could do at home, I can't do at home because I have to be at shul being a rabbi. So what my family does is we always have a Friday night dinner. We always light candles, sing Shalom Aleichem, do the blessing over the wine, blessing over the challah, bless our children. And when I'm home, I get to do that with them. But when I'm not home, Bruce does it alone by himself with the kids or with whatever guests we have. And while I'm at shul doing most of those things, but with the community. I think my favorite ritual to do with my family is to bless them, and we got this tradition from Avi Habibi, which is that we bless each child individually, and after we do the traditional blessing, then we whisper in their ear something personal about them about this past week. And it could be something positive, like I really loved when you did X or Y, or it could be something not negative, but about a negative thing, like I'm sorry it was so difficult for you to do X, or I'm sorry it's been a hard week because of Y.
My favorite rituals of Shabbat are when we have special foods because they are generally very delicious and nutritious. And
we light the candles, and we say all the blessings, and we make Shabbat every Friday night. And I do those because it's a time in the week where I know my family's going to come together, and everybody's busy during the week, and it's hard sometimes to even have a moment of conversation to get caught up with what's going on, and Shabbat's a good time for everybody to be together and to share what's gone on in their week. And well, as a convert, it was hard to follow all of the laws and to make Shabbat. But for me, I try not to do too much on Saturday. I try to make that a day more about either going to shul, although I don't go to shul every Saturday, but I go from time to time. So if I go to shul, or I'll take a hike, or I will sit and visit with my family or my friends. But I try not to go out and do stuff.
Abstaining from activities on Shabbat is shamor, to keep Shabbat. You do not do things that you regularly do during the week, like muksa.
So at our house, we've tried to make a rule that we don't do Shabbat rituals. We don't do activities that take away from the family sort of connecting. To state it positively, we try to do things where the family connects. So we don't do television because we feel as though television is just people sitting in front of a box and we don't connect with each other. But we do play music, for example, because then we'll all dance together and have fun, right? We do drive because we want to be with family or friends, and we do talk on the telephone because we want to be with them and connect with them. But we won't run errands because that has nothing to do with connecting with family or friends. So that's sort of how we make our distinction.
I also like observing Shabbat in the way that I don't use electronics or listen to music or drive the car, because it really makes it a time when I can reflect on my life and not be distracted by the outside world.
Well, that's easy because all the other days of the week, everybody else is all over the place, and dinner is pretty informal, and everybody's got different things that they eat and different times that they eat, and communication is running here and there with quick sentences. So Shabbat is just it's just a slower time, a time to sit down and eat and talk. And
Having enjoyment on Shabbat is oneg. Oneg means to enjoy. The Jews enjoy Shabbat in many different ways. They sing songs, dance, spend time with family and friends, unplug from the rest of the world, and many other things that brings people enjoyment.
So one thing is that in our home we don't have dessert after dinner during the week, but on Shabbat we always have dessert. So that's one way of making Shabbat more fun. And also, even though I work often on Shabbat morning, Shabbat afternoon I hardly ever work. And so we try to make it fun by being available to our kids and hanging out. This past Shabbat we played board games in the morning, and we went swimming in the backyard, and we just try to be together. And sometimes just being together is fun.
What brings me joy on Shabbat is that I spend time with my friends because I have time to hang out with them when I don't have time during the week because I'm so busy with work. And that's what makes Shabbat very special to me.
for me particularly, I protect my Shabbat a little bit. I like to have it be just my family so that I'm not distracted with other things. So occasionally we have friends over, but I am a little selfish with that.
Observing Shabbat is kavod, respect. Doing traditions like having dinner and dressing up are kavod Shabbat. However, no one family is the same, and many of their traditions are unique in their own ways.
I guess what is untraditional is how I define Holy Shabbat, which is time to connect with family and friends, even if that means driving or spending money to pay. Like, we won't spend money to do an errand, but we'll spend money, for example, to pay to go to the beach. Or we'll spend money to pay to park so we can hike in the mountains. So I guess that's untraditional how I define it, but I think ultimately the purpose is pretty traditional.
My observance is traditional in the way that I don't use the computer, I don't use the TV, I don't listen to music, I don't drive the car.
I think our tradition, we've sort of made it what it is. It's our tradition. Again, being a convert, I don't have the tradition from my own childhood, and so I can't. My tradition is just what I've made it. So I don't have it from my childhood.
Give thanks to God for breath. Our voices Jordan, be a chorus as a prayer. Song we sing, Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Motzi le haaretz.